Good evening, and welcome again to Public Perspective. I'm your host, Kevin McDermott. And tonight we're revisiting with some old friends, people who are responsible for the existence of the Petite, not Petite, Opera. And our audience doesn't know that's an inside joke, but it is. So the Petite Opera, Susan Baushke and Steve Arvanitas, and you're the executive director and founder and producer.
Correct.
Yes. Right?
Yes.
So welcome back. We have a new show going up, right?
We do.
Happy to be back.
Yeah, we always have a new show going up. That's really fun.
That's the nature of
it's the
Petite
whole
Opera.
thing. As soon as one's done, you got to start on the next one.
Keeps us busy.
Yeah. So that's Amore.
That's Amore, yes. So it's the famous song, and it is part of the show. But this is a two-person show. So it's just
the two persons that were sitting
the
right
two
here,
people
right?
that are sitting right here. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we've had some clamoring from friends that we know and people who've come to see our shows saying, when are you guys going to get back on stage? We're like, well, okay, well, we've been looking for the opportunity to actually get back on stage and do something like this. We talked about doing this a year ago. It was just too hectic, and there were time constraints, and we just couldn't put it together. So we decided, well, no matter what, we're going to try and do it for this February. And
due to audience demand, audience
There you
clamoring.
go.
the
There you
clamoring,
go.
and
Here you
clamoring.
are.
I love the clamoring word. That's good. Yeah.
Right. Making a great noise, great hue and cry to
Yes.
get you back on stage. Well, it's been a while. I know you
Yeah.
guys have really taken kind of a more of an executive role and less of an on-stage role. So does it feel good to be back on stage?
It does. I mean, nothing goes away though, so we still do everything else, and then we do this.
Right.
So
yeah, we share some of those other responsibilities with other people now. So.
Yeah.
But it was really nice because we have a couple really good core members now that can take over some of the major things like the lighting and the audio and the backstage, and so it was really good from that standpoint. It was a good timing. And then of course it's Valentine's Day, so that's Amore,
Right.
That's what it's
better?
about.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Steve, you having a good time on stage as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up on stage, so getting back, getting my sea legs again is actually a good thing.
Was it a little scary? It's been a while.
No.
Nah. Like getting on a bike?
You don't even think about it. You're just like, oh yeah, I just this is what I do, and you just do it because after a while, things just become second nature. So the brain, yeah.
It's been wired in that direction.
Exactly. It's not as if I'm learning a new skill for the very first time.
Yeah.
That would be completely.
That would be different.
Yeah.
That's a friend of mine
Completely
who's
different,
a guitar player was joking around one time. He said, yeah, look, I may forget songs I used to know, but I'm not going to forget how to play guitar.
Right.
Right.
Same idea.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. New show.
So let's talk about the show. Tell me about
Sure.
That's Amore.
So this was conceived actually about a decade ago.
By you guys.
Yes.
Yes.
We were approached by a group in Michigan who was trying to do an outreach series, and they wanted to have something for the Valentine's season, and they asked us for a concert, and we said, we don't do concerts, we do shows. And they said, well, can you come up with something? And so this is what happened.
Of course we can, yeah.
Exactly. So
We're creative.
exactly. So they asked for certain songs, as I recall, or tendencies towards certain types of songs.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
And then we said what fits our voices and what would work. So this is not, we didn't write the music. Okay, we say this is an original because it is an original story.
Right.
So the dialogue is all original, and then the music is lifted from different things on stage and screen. So a lot of them, I would say probably 65% of it everybody knows really well.
They're familiar tunes.
They're very familiar tunes. The other ones are rather more obscure, but they fit so perfectly, there's no way you could avoid them.
And I would think that from an audience perspective, if you know every tune and you know everything, it can be a little predictable.
Right.
Right. So throwing in a little bit of unknown or lesser known music is probably a good thing, right?
And they're different styles too, so it's not like it's all constantly the same tempo, the same kind of lullaby kind of thing. There's different styles that are thrown in there, and sometimes they kind of throw you in a curveball, and we've done that on purpose. So.
Well, a lot of it is because some of the songs that we're doing come from different eras.
So they will have a different feel.
They'll naturally have a different feel to it, right?
Right.
But
But the two of you sing all these, right? Either one or the other, or both of you?
That's correct.
Correct. There's nobody else nobody else performs nobody else sings in the show. We might have somebody do a walk-on, and we might have some cameos. So we might have to see if you're coming to the show. You can do a cameo because
I might
it's
get to
not.
walk across the
It's an
stage.
unrehearsed cameo, so it's just. Yeah.
Yes,
so
just
it's fun.
don't. If you do, just don't trip on stage.
Exactly.
Yes, well,
So
I
kind of-
have the same caveat to you guys when you get here on the studio,
No
right?
problem. That's where we're usually sitting when we get here. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
yeah, that's
So yeah, so it's really fun though. It's literally a throwback from two people who are in their 80s, their grandparents, and their grandkids come to visit. But see, there's only two people in the show. So who are the grandkids? The audience.
Uh-huh.
So they ask the question. It's a monologue that happens with an invisible dialogue partner, basically in the beginning. But they say, "I'm having such a hard time with dating. I'm a teenager.
But
I
this
can't
is not,
figure it out."
the audience is not actually asking these questions.
No, they're
This
not
is you
asking the
guys are
questions, but
doing
it's
this, yeah.
spoken to them as if
As
they're
if you're
interacting.
answering
So
their
it's more.
questions.
It was designed to be more interactive with the audience from that standpoint. Not just usually we come up through the audience and we'll interact and whatever. This is going to be more interaction than we've ever had before because it's that kind of a intimate setting, I guess. So they're the two grandparents, and each of them are on different sides of the stage. It starts out, and the girl, the granddaughter, comes and talks to the grandmother, and the boy talks to the grandfather, and they say, "I'm having horrible times dating. I don't get it. I don't get it. There's got to be some magic formula. How did you and grandma, grandpa meet?" And it's like, oh, okay, we got to go back to the beginning. So the whole thing is kind of flashback and move forward. So they start the show and end the show in their 80s.
But in the meantime,
In the meantime, they're going back in time and telling them. So it's kind of a slow process. There are some scenes where we are still being 80 years old telling the story, and then we jump into a song where we are 25 or whatever.
Right. So
And they're-
we might be the same characters, only now we're younger.
much younger.
Right.
Much younger.
You have to teach me how to do that. So I
I
make
can
myself
do-
younger on demand. I'd love
Exactly.
to be able to do that.
Well, it's all in how you move, because this isn't going to be done with makeup, because it's like this.
Right. The changes are so quick. You
They're really
literally
quick.
have to go from one character to the other
That seems like it would be very
in
challenging.
a
Yeah,
snap.
yeah. It's very much a principle of improv. So when you go, like I went through Second City program, when you do that, they actually have a whole thing where you just kind of walk around in a circle, and they keep saying, shouting an age, and you have to walk like you would at that age, and then you just keep going, and then they change it back and forth and whatever, and you get used to aging
Quickly,
and
right.
getting more. It's a lot of it is energy and how you carry your body and what the gravity has done to your body. So it's very different set. I mean, you have to remember how old you are. So in the script, we've literally written Michael, 25, Jenny, 15, whatever. And that's what we have to shoot for, so that it's different.
So he was robbing the cradle when you met you. He
No,
was
no,
25,
those
you
were
15.
arbitrary
Those
numbers.
are arbitrary numbers. I
Okay,
just
I'm
meant,
just checking.
yeah.
Right.
So, but it literally goes back to their adolescence, like the first crush or the first, like, what is love about and how do I get it? And then moving up through, like, the trials and tribulations of dating, which is one of our favorite parts of the whole show because it's got a lot of comedy
Because
to
it's
it.
funny, yes, everyone knows.
I mean, it is.
It's never
like
funny
so-
at the time.
It's
It's
never
so
funny at the time,
dramatic
right?
at the time,
looking
but
back
it's
on it, you're
so
like,
funny,
oh my
yeah.
goodness, that is just hilarious.
Yeah, it's like, what was I thinking, or what was she thinking?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Pretty much.
all right.
Exactly. So there's a section, I don't know if you want to talk about it, because he plays a lot of characters in this show.
Yeah, I end up playing more characters in this show than you do.
Right.
You're the way the show is structured. Susan's role is pretty much the same person throughout the entire show. It's just different age ranges where she's at. At this, this next scene she might be, 25. The next one she might be 32, and then 35, and so on and so forth. And then she's got to jump back into the 80-year-old, and then go back there. I end up doing that as well. However, I also represent other characters, love interests that she had
In the course of her life.
in the course of her life
That you may or may not have known about at the time.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
So that would be really challenging because you have to not only change ages, but change personas, right?
absolutely.
Exactly.
So talk about re-exercising your acting chops. Boy, that puts you
Yeah,
on the
you got
spot,
that.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you gotta think quick and remember who you are in every moment of the show.
So
How long is the whole show then?
it's about
It'll be roughly 2 hours.
Yeah.
So all right, so for 2 hours you have to know exactly where you are, what age you are, what character you are, and be able to move seamlessly
Right.
from one to
And you
the
have to
next.
move
Correct.
differently. Each character moves differently, and then the
Sure.
age moves differently. So it's like it's the ultimate challenge, I guess, in a lot of regards. And then there's all the songs, of course, which you have to remember all the songs and sing those incredibly well, you know.
Yes,
so
and
it's
all the
just those
lyrics
things,
to all the songs,
all those
right.
things, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, with
it's-
no teleprompter or anything like that.
Right, exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
You
So-
know, even Mick Jagger didn't remember the lyrics to his own songs. So
I'm not surprised.
yeah. So he had ways to make them up on stage. So they'll test your improv skills,
Exactly,
right?
exactly,
Can you-
exactly.
can-
So-
but there are 25 songs, did you say?
26,
I think, total.
26 total musical numbers in there.
Yeah, it's split between 2 acts,
Mm-hmm.
roughly 15-minute intermission.
So is it? I mean, I think of musical comedies, musicals generally, where the songs advance the show, right? So there's dialogue, and then you cut to a musical number, which advances whatever the point is there.
Yeah.
So it's similar construction here.
It's similar.
Similar.
Yeah, I think it's more of a the setup for each song is the dialogue, and then the song finishes out the thought, and then you go to the next age group kind of concept. It's like that. It's kind of that's the sending them back in the reel of their life, you know, in their film reel. So now we're going to put this one on. Now we're going to go like here, and we move around in the auditorium. So this one's going to be a little different too. We actually have body mics for this. We've never done that before, but it really works for what we're trying to do. And there's a lot of things that happen on the auditorium floor with the audience as opposed to just up on the stage.
Right.
So that's a little
part of
different
it's on the
construct too.
stage, but you
Yeah,
also move
we move.
amongst-
So we have a lot of different spaces. So we have his and her chairs, you know, kind of like their living room chairs, like, oh, here's Grandpa's chair. And then they do some things in between the two areas, which is kind of it represents a not house area, whatever. It might be different things in different parts. There's one where
Okay.
she goes to her reunion and she runs into her old flame. That's the reunion space, for instance. And then there's stairs, which are like, represent the stairs to the house, and they also get you out into other places. There's a bench, and then there's a restaurant cafe table that's right down among the audience. So they're circulated around the audience, and they get to go, you know, involve themselves in the whole restaurant experience too. So it's really kind of, it's different.
So what, is this the regular theater where you?
Yeah,
you
this is
normally
the same
perform
one that we've done
in
before,
Park
yeah.
Ridge, right?
Correct.
And the name of it's the church. What's the name of the church?
St. Mary's Episcopal.
St.
Yeah.
Mary's Episcopal Church. In
They call the
theater space.
auditorium Mary Wilson House Buyer Auditorium. Very fancy name.
Very fancy. Yes.
fancy.
Yes. And anybody who goes to your Facebook page will be able to find the address and the
Yes, exactly.
Correct.
Exactly.
And your Facebook page is?
Well, it's facebook.com/Petite Opera, and the URL or website is petiteopera.org.
So there you go. So anybody who's trying to find out more, they hear this and they think, wow, that is so cool. I got to get there. They can just look it up.
Yep.
Either the website or the Facebook page.
Yep.
Find
Yeah.
out.
The other nice thing about this particular show, it's universal for
All ages.
general audiences.
Yeah.
So it's not limited to, it's not like an adult themed show or a children's show or anything like that. Everybody can come and enjoy it.
Well, I know because the Petite Opera, normally regularly you're doing operatic productions, but this sounds like it's more popular music, right? It's
Yeah.
less operatic.
So we have actually created a sub-series that we're doing this under. It's called Petite Original Productions.
Ah,
So we're hoping to do more original things, like whether it be we've commissioned an opera or we've done another thing like this, something that's a little more, you know, new, as opposed to fresh, new, original today, as opposed to redoing a new perspective of an opera that's been in existence for a long time. So we just kind of want to mix it up.
well, I can imagine just from a creative standpoint, you know, to do even, I mean, like the lyric opera. Well, even the lyric opera, in
Yeah.
fact, is changing. They are not doing all straight operas now. They did My Fair Lady about a year ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they started adding
Yeah.
musical
Musical.
theater as part of their closing show of the season.
Yeah.
And I think they've done it now for like 5 years.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I would think because you have to mix it up, right? I think just creatively, I would imagine.
Well, you end up drawing a different type of audience as well. And the whole idea of that is, okay, you bring them in for something that they think that they might like, and then they realize, hey, if this group can do this, I should probably consider coming to see more of their shows. So
Like,
it
these
kind-
guys are good. We
Right,
should come back
exactly.
and see them again.
Right, exactly.
So, as you think about something like this, who is the audience for this particular show? That's Amore. Who is the particular audience demographic that you're aiming at
Wow.
for this show?
This one's got more of a broad appeal, like he was saying, because it's all ages. I think that, I mean, I'm pitching it to senior groups because I think they'd really get a kick out of, because there's a big meat of the stuff that they're going to get, and they're also going to get this flashback thing and live through it with you. But it's also for people who are celebrating Valentine's Day. And they want to go out as a couple.
Right.
And then people who want to take their friends who, you know, just got dumped and they want to see what it's like, you know, to be able to laugh at themselves. Or people who want to take their kids to see, this is really what it's about. I mean, it could be a lot of different pockets on this.
Even the teenagers who are looking for a little wisdom on.
Well, I would
love and
think. I mean,
dating.
there's quite a bit in there.
There
too,
is quite a
actually,
bit.
and
I
it's-
agree with that.
And it comes from our personal experiences, and a lot of it,
You know,
either we lived it or we saw it. you
Right,
know?
right. And you
So-
brought up that point earlier as well, saying that you live through things and you learn because of
Right,
it.
right.
And now you look back, you're like, oh my goodness, was I stupid?
Right. And you just
What
have
made
to,
me think
And
that?
you just have to laugh, though. I mean, that's the whole
Yeah.
thing. You have to laugh at yourself because it's just how you get through it, you know?
You know, and I think it's the universal reaction that what you just said is like, how was I so stupid? I mean, everyone thinks of themselves that way when you look back. Even to
That was
just
the dumbest thing I ever did.
yeah, and usually when you say what's the dumbest thing, you think, well, I've got about 10 candidates. Which one should I choose?
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
right.
So I think it's great to be able to kind of bring that out as, of course, everyone feels this way, right? Everyone's gone through these
Right,
kinds of
right.
experiences.
Right, exactly. I think it's cathartic
Yeah.
to laugh at yourself,
Yeah.
and it's good to know you're not alone. Even if you're searching for the one, you will find the one. It's just, this isn't the right one, that's okay. You figure it out, you move it on. And we mentioned it, the line is in there twice, I think. He says it, and I say it. Look, dating is a process of elimination. It really is. Finding the right one, that's why you date.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
literally, you
yeah.
try them on, you see if they fit. If they don't fit, you move on. You just kind of go to the next one.
And I think our audience, our TV audience tonight,
Yeah.
if they haven't already figured it out, should know that you are, in fact, a married couple.
Yes,
We are a
yes,
married
we
couple.
are,
Yes.
yes.
Despite the differences in the last name, yeah.
Yes, it's in today's America, that's not uncommon.
No,
at
it's
all,
not.
right?
It's not.
Exactly.
You know, years ago we were telling people, well, that's because we're movie stars. We're like movie stars. You know, we kept our names.
Hey, why not?
Why not? And
Why not?
And in fact, you are performers, so
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
are entitled to your own identity, right?
Exactly.
Right.
So,
So what are the dates that this is showing? It's,
February 9 and 10. So Saturdays are at 8.
Mm-hmm.
The 9th and the 16th are the Saturdays. The 10th and the 17th are the Sundays. So Saturday is at 8 o'clock, Sundays at 4:30. So you have some matinees here.
So
Gotcha.
it's the 2 Saturdays and Sundays that are
Surrounding
Valentine's Day, because I think Valentine's Day falls on a Thursday this year.
Yeah, yeah.
could be.
It
Yeah,
does.
I should know that, but you know, I'm a guy, so.
So
okay.
get
know-
with the program and, you know, there you
Yeah,
go,
yeah,
there you
yeah.
go.
So this is really exciting.
Yeah.
Now you said that the idea was first hatched 10 years ago,
Yeah,
but was it actually performed 10
Yes.
years
Yes,
ago?
it was.
Okay,
Yes.
all right,
Yeah.
so you did actually present it.
yeah.
And is this the updated version? or-
This is an updated version, so it was kind of
Yeah, they're-
reconceived.
Yeah,
you know.
because some of the musical numbers that we did then, we've removed and replaced them with other pieces that we think are a little more appropriate. And
And make the story a little stronger. Too.
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the advantage of revisiting a previous piece, right? You
Right.
You know, at the time you create anything, you think, oh, wow, this is like so fabulous, it's perfect, right? Then you look back later and you're like, not so much.
Not so much. I think there's something that fits better. I
I
mean,
mean, certain things, stand the test of time, but with that, you can also recognize that, this area might have been a little weak, and then we can strengthen it by tweaking it here and here or there, and then you make a better whole than just the pieces.
Sure.
Right.
So do you conceive of yourself 10 years hence saying, hey, it's been another 10 years of our fabulous married life. Let's resurrect this show and see how we
I
feel
mean,
now.
I think this one is fairly timeless, and it can be done
Oh, I think
in a
so,
lot
too.
of different spaces too. So it can be updated. It can be whatever. A lot of it would just depend on like what what is the music that appeals to the latest generation too? Is there some song that really captured that a lot better than that other one did? You know, but the idea of being 80 years old and looking back, I mean, it's just, it would be really fun to do it at 80. Go back, it would. But I mean, and there's no reason.
Might be a little more
really.
challenging to play some of the younger characters.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
a
true.
little
But,
harder.
but but it's all based on how you carry yourself. So we just have to get in that circle and keep marching around and going, get a lot of energy now. I'm going to be 5.
As long as the body holds up, I think we're okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. So sure.
So are there any rap tunes in there?
There's no rap tunes. We don't have any Hamilton numbers in there.
No, we do not.
No. There's a lot of classics, like the title song, that's Amore, is in there. That's kind of the pivotal point when they get together, which is really fun. There's things from Rodgers and Hammerstein, there's Lerner and Loewe, there's some things from film that, surprisingly, I had to go back and find out what movies they were from. I knew they were from movies, but I didn't know which one. And so saying the movie isn't going to make any difference to anybody because they're
They're a little obscure.
they're taken out of context. There's one that's very popular today though, so people will know that one, but that's okay. I'm not going to.
And if they want to know what it is, they've got to come and
They got to come.
They gotta come see it.
Yeah, there's like
Well,
something
and-
very modern in it. Yeah.
And I know we both feel this way, that it's something worth seeing.
Yeah.
Because, as you know from previous shows that we do, we want to make sure that people who come to see our shows really enjoy themselves. It has nothing to do with us or other performers on stage. It's all about how the audience is responding, what's important to them. So we want to give them something that I think they're going to get
a kick out of it.
Yeah.
get a kick, yeah, exactly, get a kick out of it, and go home with a smile on their face.
And the other thing is, it's just there's a difference between having a video and live. There just is.
Yes.
And this is one of those where, because literally, we can be, you come to the audience, Kevin, we will interact with
I
you
will be
personally,
there, right.
okay? Because that's what it is. It's bringing them into it because they're living it too, somewhere. They might not, at that point where we, touch an audience member's hand or look them in the eye, for instance, it might not be the exact thing that they're going through, what this character is going through, but they will recognize that connection, and then they will be more connected when something does come up in the show that they can really connect with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something that you just can't get except in person, and I think that's missing in our society. I love video. We're doing video here.
Yes.
It reaches a lot of people, but as far as pulling in the emotional connection, it's just, there's just something there. You can't get that any other way.
I agree with you. In fact, I was talking with some other performers just recently, a different show, about that interaction with the audience and how that creates the show, particularly in more intimate settings like the places where you perform. Because you can't make the show without the audience. I mean, that's kind of generally true. But particularly in these more intimate spaces where you can have more interaction with the audience, it does help create the show, right? And even though everything's planned out and you know the songs, you know the lines, each show, each performance has its own rhythm, its own heartbeat, right?
Absolutely.
Right, exactly. It does. It does.
You can always tell, the performers always can sense when an audience is a little more responsive than
Well, it's fascinating.
than say from like the previous night. Previous night, they may have enjoyed it.
They smiled as loud
and they
as they
smiled as loud as they possibly could. I love that phrase.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I like that too.
But then you come in the next day, and they're hooting and hollering because but because they're so lively, it raises your energy level as well, and then you can and you work off that, and you connect with the audience a little tighter.
Yeah.
In fact, as you know, I'm a musician myself, and so
Right.
I've had exactly that experience where, and also surprising things like, the song that I would never think is a dance tune, suddenly everybody gets up and dances.
Right. Surprise. Yeah.
Surprise, and the next night, maybe nobody gets up
Right.
and dances
Exactly.
to that song.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's that energy, though, that cross energy
Right.
Yes.
Right.
that the audience
Right.
imparts to you and you impart back to the audience that
Right.
really makes the shows click. And it also, as you were talking about, the difference between live and video. A video, as you said, there's no interaction. And that means the video is going to be the same every night, no matter what time of day
Right.
or night you watch it.
Right.
Exactly.
Whereas a live performance, will vary slightly from night to night
Right.
because of this audience interaction.
And you might see effectively a different show if you went 2
Mhm.
nights in a row because of the audience interaction. And you know, it's funny. So we actually got to go on a date, what, a week and a half ago? We went to see, we saw Bohemian Rhapsody. And there's a
I've
section
seen that,
in
by the way,
there
yeah.
where they're talking about audience interaction, you know, so that boom, boom, boom.
Right.
And what that did, and it's true, everybody interacts with that. Even now, you hear We Will Rock You, everybody starts doing that. It is like programmed, and you're instantly into the song, and you're instantly where you were when you first heard it. And that's what live theater can do. It can transport you into another place that reminds you of what was funny or what was sad and how things have changed and where you're at, and you're good with it. It's just,
You know, I just have to comment on that Bohemian Rhapsody because
Yeah.
the part you mentioned
Yeah.
is in fact the part that struck me most.
yeah,
That one scene where he's describing, I'm doing this, boom, boom, clap, in order to get the audience involved. That's the
Right.
purpose.
right.
And I thought, wow, you know, first of all, it's brilliant. And secondly, it's like, I never knew that about that song.
Yeah.
And it makes me think
But
differently
everybody
about the
did it.
song. Everybody did,
You went
right.
to you know, basketball games, they played that, boom, boom, you know, so it that's what we got to do. I mean, so there's a line you can't cross when you're the character and you want to involve somebody, but you want to reach out and just grab their emotions and pull them in and have them connect to it and then dissipate away, and they're like, I feel more fulfilled as a result of having had this night of entertainment than I did before. It's not just,
Yeah, because what you're trying to make a connection,
yeah,
and not necessarily overly engage the other person, but engage them enough that there's interest and they see that you're working for them.
Yeah, and I think making that connection, I think that's the key. But also, you know, knowing where the line is too. As a performer,
Yeah.
you're not inviting them up on stage to
No.
try to improv with you.
no,
But
no hecklers.
Yeah, no hecklers.
No hecklers.
Right, right. But you do want them that level of, you know, bump, bump, clap. You know,
Yeah.
you want them to be able to feel that kind of involvement, right?
Right, right, exactly.
And that's the key to good performance. Good
Yes.
live
Exactly,
performance,
exactly.
right?
You know, we've seen a number of live performance, whether it be theater or just like you go to a music concert, and I have often made the statement, you cannot beat live music.
And with that comment, we're out of time. So we'll have to close on that. What a
That's
great way to
okay.
close.
That's
There we
okay.
go.
Right. Steve, Susan, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
being
very
here.
Thank you,
much.
Kevin.
And I will certainly come to see That's Amore.
Okay,
Wonderful.
thank you.
So I want to thank you for joining us once again on Public Perspective. I'm your host, Kevin McDermott. You can find us every Saturday night on Comcast Channel 19 at 8 o'clock and see us on the web at publicperspective.tv. So until next time, thank you and good night.